I got dropped out there twice. I don't know what's going on, whether it's so the church is in.
Yikes. Mine's stable. I think it's only hit you, Tom.
Okay. Hmm. Well, it's interesting. I usually only have two cell phone bars here from Verizon, two, sometimes three. And twice this afternoon, I've had none. I haven't been able to call out. I haven't even been able to send texts out. So I don't know what's going on.
Yikes.
But that shouldn't have.
Maybe solar flares.
Maybe that, and who knows? Verizon could be working somewhere in the area.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard from Doug, and he's not going to be joining us today. Um,
Hmm. Okay.
he's like traveling or just got back and said he wouldn't be able to make it. Um, let's see. Dick, I haven't heard anything from him. But
Well,
he was at the budget, right?
yeah.
Yes, he was.
You want me to reach out to him?
Yeah.
Okay. He'll probably show up by the time I reach out to him. I'll mute myself here.
Mary, I'm guessing you're here to talk about endowment and bylaws. Would I be right?
I'm actually here to support the Sue and clarify anything in her report about the
Okay.
endowment. So,
Um, on our agenda, we'd allocated time at the beginning for a video that we watched in advance and discussion. You would not have done that. I think after we call to order, I'm going to propose that we change our order a little bit to take care of business that would involve you first.
okay, good.
And I got this cell phone problem again. My call failed to Dick Burkhart. Can I give somebody his phone number and let somebody else try?
Sure.
Okay, his phone number is 206-851-0027.
Uh, maybe I should just call him.
Oh, yeah, that's what I always do because I'm not even I'm not even sure he gets his texts. Under the endowment bylaw, I'm prepared to give what we kind of are probably going to do and any additional information, that can be provided. by Mary would be great.
Hi, honey. There's Dick.
And there he is, like magic. And
I'm
there's
who
a
I'm not.
sideways Liz Gilbert in her car, I think.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, upside down.
Think she's got her phone in her lap while she's driving. Oh, there is Dick.
Yeah,
There's
I'm
Dick.
here. I was just having too long a nap.
Okay.
It happens sometimes. Okay, I'll call the meeting to order and it is 4:08. The first item on our agenda is discussion, reflection, conversation on the beauty of conflict. I'd like to suggest that we delay that in our agenda a little bit and move to the top. I believe it would be a discussion of the endowment bylaw. Is that correct? Is that where we want to go? Tom, Mary?
Yeah, yeah.
Sue's here.
Okay.
Okay, so we approved to go on the agenda for the board meeting, the bylaw that had to do with defining what criteria we could use to get to the endowment fund if we needed to as a last resort for financing a major project. Then, and Mary can elaborate on this, then with a discussion that Mary had, she determined that we really already have that authority. The team has that authority under some restrictions of IRS rules and foundation rules, and she can elaborate on that. But what I'm suggesting that we do, since I had 24 persons plus myself that signed that petition, I didn't have any way to contact them all and get affirmation back that they would approve withdrawing it. So my concept here to deal with it is to actually, have it on the agenda, the annual meeting, bring it up, and I would introduce it as an individual, not as a board member, and simply urge people for extenuating reasons that would be explained by somebody from the endowment team that people are urged to vote no, so that we would just dispose of that item in that fashion. Um, so if you want to jump in there to clarify, well, you can clarify things, Mary, and then the board can decide if that's the right course of action. How about that?
Okay. Sue, do you want to say something first?
No, that's okay. I'm sorry I'm running a bit late, so I'm catching up. If you could start, Mary, that would be good.
Okay, then the kind of background is as the endowment team was evaluating the issues around the proposed bylaw, we realized that we'd kind of lacked a little institutional memory about how the original agreement was written. And so because Karen Dornsteel and I were the ones that primarily worked with the foundation to write it, I went back to the representative at the Seattle Foundation just to clarify what the terms of our agreement are in terms of withdrawals. She she reminded me that under the current agreement as it stands, the ability of the endowment team to withdraw money from the foundation is fairly broad and within its broad discretion. By its, I mean the endowment team. And as a little bit of background, the reason why that's the way the contract was negotiated was that all of the endowment team felt really strongly that we wanted the ability to take back our endowment funds if for some reason unknown to us, the Seattle Foundation was simply not the right situation. And it was primarily because of our experience in taking our money out of the UU Foundation as it was set up, the UUCEF that later became an LLC. We wanted to have that ability. And so the Seattle Foundation was willing to write in a provision for us that would give the endowment team, under the terms of the policies and procedures of UUCS, not just whenever the heck we wanted to, but pointing to specific policies and procedures, we could take money out. As it turns out, if we made a request for a withdrawal and we were complying with our policies and procedures, they could release the money to us within 10 to 21 days, which is very fast. And so we felt like that meant that if we truly had an emergency that had no other solution for us, we would have the ability to get that money fairly quickly. The endowment team under the agreement has broad authority and discretion to establish the distributions, whatever they may be for, to the operating budget. But I was cautioned right off the bat by the Seattle Foundation rep that the foundation never encourages people to take withdrawals unless absolutely necessary or unless strictly based on a policy and procedure that we put in place. And so that's kind of the background of how we came to have this information that we probably could have shared earlier if we'd thought about it, but we didn't. So based on that, the proposed amendment and the other discussion we had on another amendment Tom proposed really are not necessary, and probably because of the foundation's approach should be addressed by policies and procedures, which I've talked to Tom about this and he's already done some thinking about it. We did at the endowment team as well. And so that's what we proposed to Tom, that we didn't believe his proposed amendments were necessary. That was basically what the E-team thought, and that we could move from there.
I have a question. You hinted at, or somebody hinted at IRS restrictions. Could you go through what are the IRS restrictions?
Well, the IRS requires that an endowment strictly account for withdrawals and distributions based on its mission, its policies, and its procedures. The IRS they don't have strict number requirements, but they and most foundations recommend 6% as a standard give. The IRS doesn't like it when endowments don't give any money at all for long periods of time, because in their minds, that means either there's no mission or the people governing the endowment are not following the mission. They also don't like to see large and random distributions without a very strict accounting for the relationship of that distribution to a mission, the mission of the organization. So it's not that they have specific requirements, it's that they have standards that they apply, kind of a set of qualified requirements that they measure by. And the 4 to 6% is, I guess, developed based on a way for endowments to regularly distribute money rather than hoard it or use it inconsistently. And it is how they evaluate what's happening. When they get our 990s or the endowment's 990s, the Seattle Foundation's actually they evaluate based on what the distributions look like.
Yeah, I guess I'm somewhat familiar with that. I'm president of a little nonprofit, uh, which actually turns out to be a 990 private foundation, and they have these rules. I wasn't aware of the 6% thing, but it's very clear that uh, they what they did have was in the tax form was a minimum uh, withdrawal each year or averaged over the last several years. That seemed to be their focus. And the tax forms, they didn't mention 6%, but they wanted minimum withdrawals. But my impression was that they didn't want these things just to be, these foundations just to be um, a tax kind of scam of saving money for some wealthy individual or whatever, that if it was going to be a private entity that was a charitable endeavor, they ought to be taking some money from their investments on a regular basis, at least a minimum amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they 2% is actually the number that I've been told several times. I've been on an endowment board before where for a couple of years we didn't distribute anything,
Mm, right.
primarily because we'd had somebody embezzle money from us, and we wanted to keep it safe for a little while, so we didn't make any distributions, but we were expected to do an average of at least 2% a year.
Yeah, I think that you have sort of a 5-year moving average where you got this minimum withdrawal, I think maybe it's 1.5% or 2 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that's not an issue for the Spokane Church at all.
Probably not.
And then since they're always going to be taking a withdrawal unless
Yeah.
for some reason they had a super contribution to the pledge some year where they didn't have to. And even then you can average these things over a few years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else you want me to talk about, Sue?
No, you really covered it nicely. Thank you. Are there any further questions, Tom?
Well, I just wanted to add a little bit of explanation. When it was clear that we didn't need the long, complicated amendment that I proposed, I suggested that to the endowment team that they consider just simply doing what I thought was consistent. And I actually suggested that they add to that section one. Additionally, the endowment team, in consultation with the ops team, the finance team, and the board, may distribute monies related to major capital improvements, expenditures, projects deemed of an extraordinary and emergency nature. And that was the other thing that they considered last night and decided that wasn't appropriate or needed, particularly since policies and procedures were referred to, if I understand it right. And in fact, I had previously already drafted something that was going to be in there, and I will at a later date share that under the operations team section of the policy and procedures. There we could add a section that addressed extraordinary emergency circumstances, and then under the section involving board operations team management linkage, we could also add something that would address the board's role. But that could come up later, but it would be consistent, as I understood, with us having policy and procedures so we could declare an emergency or something extraordinary. And so that's something to be addressed in the future. We don't have to deal with that now.
So where are we, Tom, with the amendment for the
Oh, well,
annual meeting?
before you came in, if the board, assuming the board's consistent with this, we'll just, since it's on the board agenda and I couldn't get all 24 people to say, to enact a withdrawal, that we'll just bring it up and I'll give an explanation, urge that we vote no, and in the discussion, the endowment team can clarify and add anything to it that they want. I would give a brief comment saying that It appears after additional study, the team advised that it was not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. It's not necessary. Mhm.
Yeah.
Luba?
Yeah. Um, in lieu of this suggestion, Tom's suggestion, if it were to happen, I wonder if it is possible to show the short video made by Todd, which I liked really. It is so informational about endowment fund. Many people have no clue about it. And today I was talking to one of the members of the church who said, well, we are on a tight budget, and why don't we use the money that is sitting in the endowment fund? I asked her if she watched that video by Todd, and she said, no, no. Well, I suggested that she should watch it and educate herself. Well, thinking about this today, I was wondering if there are other people like her and they need to be educated.
Are you thinking of that as a part of the annual meeting?
Yes, yes, a part.
Mhm.
Because, well, Tom says 25 people. So 25 people may be a force. And they may say, well, we want to know, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, just a clarification on that point. The actual wording was that it come before the annual meeting. And before the meeting, I was going to send out a clarifying email saying, you don't need to vote for this. You just voted to get this on the agenda. So, it's kind of playing with words, but
Okay.
um, yeah.
I like your idea.
I'm perfectly fine with educating the congregation about the what I see as the purpose of the endowment. I don't even like using extraordinary circumstances because anybody can interpret that to mean anything. The principle should never be touched. That's what an endowment's for. That's what we promise the people who contribute it. And I would like to make that point to the congregation in any way that we can so that, I mean, I think what we really need, not this year, but next year, is a bylaw protecting the principle, making it harder to access.
Todd, I really liked where you showed in your video that we've given, including this year's, which now will be more
Yeah.
from raising our give, but over $220,000
Mm-hmm.
and to the operating fund in what, 6, 7 years?
Yeah.
And that
It'll
is
be about a
significant.
$250,000 this year.
Yes, and once we start taking away from that, that's gone,
Yeah.
so anyway, I thought that was a very good video. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there's acclamation, I will go ahead and include that as an item on our congregational meeting agenda. Am I seeing heads nodding? Yeah?
No, I'm not, I think it's irrelevant at this point since there isn't an issue.
I think it is relevant because it's been raised and it's an educational opportunity to protect our endowment for
Yeah.
hopefully forever. So I mean I think we can't. In fact, I would do it in lieu of my annual report. I mean I think that's more important than anything else I'd have to say.
Well, then in all fairness, is somebody else going to present a different point of view, which I
I,
would like, which I would like to do.
we,
If you could present yours.
well, as the minister, it seems like I can. You've presented yours in this, often already. So yeah.
Well, can it be edited in that I can't remember and how easy this would be, that you're not presenting it in favor one way or the other, but you're showing the main points of what it's done for us.
Sure, I'll get rid of the vote no thing since it's mute. I can do that. Yep.
And have you guys talked about the raising the budget yet from the endowment? Has that been discussed yet?
That
No.
was discussed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
we got that okayed. I don't think you were there during the budget summit number
No, I
two.
couldn't be, yeah.
Yeah, the budget summit too took care of that.
Well, we still have to approve the budget, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
it'll come up later. There's an item on the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to do that as just in lieu of my report. I can introduce it, but I'll tone it down a little bit so that it is just focusing on the facts of the endowment.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll include that. Anything further on the endowment bylaw issue? And if not, we will move to our first order of business that we delayed, the beauty of conflict. I hope everyone had an opportunity to see that video. I took a few notes on it and I thought it was an intriguing idea. I know I personally, my default position is avoid conflict at all costs. So there was a lot for me to chew on with that. But I really like the idea of what is our conflict really about? Kind of getting down below. Is it really about hair pretties on the floor or a deeper issue? And I wonder what elements of that video spoke to others of you.
Everything.
Well, I, I, I asked myself a question. I watched it in the last hour before this meeting. I watched it 3 times and I took notes on it. And I can see I could see some value in it, but is the implication that we don't deal over the years and years that I've been involved with this board, which is probably 15 years, that we don't deal with conflict well? Is there an implication that we need to do something that we're not doing? Or is this a personal thing for us as personal enhancement?
I think it's not only about the board. It's their relationship within the church, bigger kind of communication. Not only while we are here discussing something.
I agree with you, Luba, and I'm sorry if my sound is awful. My microphone makes me not be able to hear anybody. It mutes me. So I'll have my son work on that. But I also think it is true that as a board, when I served under Hollis, there was a definite conflict between one person in Hollis, and it made me so uncomfortable. It made me almost physically ill because this person was speaking so disrespectfully to him. And I realized this is pretty stupid, but this is kind of how basic it is. I realize that I always get irritated when I look in the sink and there's dirty dishes and the dishwasher is full of dirty dishes. And I go to myself, why can't Dale and Jenny, of course, I point them out, why can't they put their dishes in the dishwasher? And I realize what it comes down to is I feel disrespected by them when they do that. It's like their expectation is, oh, mom will do it. Kind of like making meals. Mom doesn't just do meals. Other people can do meals. And it's like in a board meeting, quite frankly, Tom and Todd, when you talk to each other at times, I get uncomfortable. And that's just me because
That's Tom's fault, not mine.
I, like Cindy, will opt for no conflict. Let's be smooth and work together. So this was eye-opening, quite frankly, for me. And I think
Yes, I'm just in the same way as you were describing, but it's not only about speaking, like verbal communication. Sometimes the communication that is going through email can be offending. And I noticed that while there were some exchanges, and as far as the what is conflict for us, for me it's horrible. I don't like conflicts. For me it's like I'm in a boat in a very rough sea and I don't have the life jacket and they cannot swim, so I avoid everything. But when I listened to, and that was very informative and very good, I got out of that watching the movie that the most often conflicts appear, well, on a personal level or maybe even with the board, on two issues: control and independence.
It reminded me of an incident when I used to be a community health educator for Planned Parenthood. Um, I was doing a class at the Native Project, the Indian healthcare agency in town. And it was for teens, but there was an adult woman who worked for the organization in the class. And she's pretty aggressive and kind of in my face and really wanted to argue about things. And I discovered my secret weapon that day. Um, she was she was characterizing contraception as genocide.
Oh no.
And so my secret weapon was, you are absolutely right. There are some horrible things that were done, and
Mhm.
things have changed. And it really kind of takes the wind out of the sails. If you can find some bit of agreement or confirmation for the other person's position.
Mhm.
I think, for me, if we can't disagree as Unitarians, we we shouldn't exist.
Yeah, right.
And that doesn't mean that it's always peaceful. And I don't like conflict either. I mean, it conflict immediately creates all sorts of chemistry in your body that makes you uncomfortable. Me too, right? A normal person should be uncomfortable with it. But if you're going to lead, you have to engage in your differences in a way that's respectful, but also honest. And then when a decision is made in the proper way, for example, the board makes a decision, that's the end of it, right? Because that's what we've agreed is going to happen. So, you have to be able to then say, okay, I said what I wanted to say. I maybe said it forcefully, but the process went through, it worked, and I lost or I won, whatever. That's not what matters to me. But I remember after the Gadfly papers came, there were a lot of, not a lot, but more than a few members from our congregation who would meet with me, wanted to talk with me, essentially to recant, but they didn't use that term because that wouldn't be very Unitarian, right? But I wasn't being nice. I just needed to apologize for my book and do whatever I had to do to bring a peaceful state back to our congregation. And I repeatedly said, I'm not the person to bring peace to our congregation. If that's what the congregation needs, they're going to have to get rid of me, which I thought was going to happen anyway. But the point is, to lead the congregation, I had to be truthful about what I believe is important and true, and uh, that meant there was going to be conflict for me and for all of us.
Yeah, I remember there were requests of you, Todd, to heal the
To heal. Yeah.
congregation, to heal.
Yeah. Well, One of the things that I want to remind us all of, the title of this video was The Beauty of Conflict. And then he spent 15 minutes talking about how we can constructively use conflict. And it just in the last 5 minutes, members of the board asked Todd to have that video, and to me, that is, since it was one of a certain position, was an invitation for me to say, well, then can I have my 2 bits? And then the result of that, which was dealing with some conflict, was that Todd said, well, I will moderate the video so that it deals with facts and isn't addressing a no position. So I see conflict as something that we are not going to avoid, and we need to figure out how to work with it. And all the terms, vulnerability, ownership, communication, acceptance, and boundaries are all part of what is involved with the beauty of conflict. I,
Well, yes, the bottom line, conflict is not bad. And we women usually take a different position. Conflict is bad. We're going to be like good bunnies.
and pick up all the beauty ties.
Todd, I'm curious how you found that video. Were you searching for it, or did you come across it in some other way?
No, I was searching for some thoughtful videos for the board meeting. You had sent me a request actually if I had any recommendations. I can't remember what I searched, but it was kind of an odd one to come up for whatever the search was. I looked for something more about, policy boards, that sort of thing, and that came up, and I thought, wow, this is maybe right on target.
Mhm.
Is this something that you could send to me? I'm not on the board, but you've made it sound very interesting.
It went out to everybody, didn't it?
No, it went only to the board.
To the
Just-
Oh,
board.
oh,
And I
I
see it looks like Kathy was asking for it in the chat.
Do you
Yes,
still have
She
that
would
link
like it
available,
also.
Cindy?
Yeah, and I can,
If not, I can find it, but that'd be great.
yeah, I can send it if you'll. I have a hard time juggling my screens, but yes, I can get it.
well,
Oh, you could send it later,
yes, of
after the
course.
meeting. Yeah, okay,
you-
thank you so much.
are we suggesting sending it out to one of the all church communication things? I mean, it's got a lot of personal benefits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I'll ask that it go in the next Sun.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
you could do it on its own and, or throw it in the wheel of life.
Or
Yes.
you could even, Cindy, just send it out on your behalf as the board president or on behalf of the board.
Okay.
I think more people might open it up and look at it, uh, just because it's special and it's coming from you, and you said, "Hey, this is something we talked about and thought the whole congregation might benefit from it."
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
And
why
you
Yes,
could still
indeed.
you could still send it to Sue and Kathy separately if you, so you don't have to draft that
when
right away.
the very brief notes that I took under vulnerability, the key entry phrase was who are we? Under ownership, the take responsibility for your actions. Communication was learn to ask, to listen, and express. And acceptance was under acceptance was embrace reality and let go of what you cannot control, which
Yes.
you just said, Todd, on a board, we express our opinions and we may be in a minority. And, that's it. The church knows the board decided this, even if it was a split vote. And the last one, boundaries, just having some ground rules for acceptable behavior. I, I don't think we do all that bad of a job, considering that I might be more comfortable with conflict. I don't know if that's the right word, but with disagreement than some people. So I thought he had a lot to say.
Yeah, it was good piece, and I appreciate you offering that to us for sort of our kickoff with having bigger things to think about at our board meetings. And I'd like to invite everyone, like bring it on. I'm not going to be the only one that adds things to the agenda. So if you have poetry, readings, articles, videos, any food for thought that would benefit us, um, please offer it up and we'll include it. And with that, we'll go back to our usual sort of agenda. Any amendments to the agenda as it was mailed out with the changes we've already made? If none, we'll approve it. The minutes, any changes or amendments to those? And seeing none, we'll approve. Our next executive committee meeting would be scheduled for June 17th. That's going to be 3 days after the board meeting, after the congregational meeting, excuse me. And followed by the board meeting the next week on the 14th, both at 4 p.m.
24th.
24th, what did I say?
You said 14, 24th. Yeah, you said
Okay.
14.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's the 17th and 24th, both Wednesdays?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. A floating trustee, do we have a volunteer?
I would volunteer. I just checked my calendar and it's clear if no one else wishes to do that.
Thank you, Tom. All right. Nancy, what can you tell us about the congregational survey?
Of course, the budget has taken precedence over everything. And so I'm not going to push Rebecca or Michelle to get this survey out lickety split. So hopefully by the end of the month.
Okay.
We are meeting tomorrow, right?
Right.
Friday, not
Yeah.
tomorrow, Friday.
Friday, excuse me, yes.
Okay, by the end of the month. Luba, the ops team liaison report and membership update, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Nancy.
Now that I said that, I realized Rebecca is going to be very busy with the congregational meeting and getting everything ready for that. So I'm going to say we're going to have it out by the end of June.
Okay,
I don't want to impact her work schedule or Michelle's as
Okay.
we're coming up on the congregational meeting.
that's probably more realistic.
Nancy, did you ever find your microphone or whatever it is? I mean, we can hear you, but it's really different.
Here's my microphone.
Okay.
I plug it in and I can't hear you.
You're doing okay. I can hear you.
Okay, Luba?
Um, the operations team meeting, which is regularly on Tuesday, was rescheduled to May 19th because Rebecca and the new bookkeeper were busy doing a lot to clean up online. So the meeting started with greeting a new member, Laura Gusdorf, who was brought to Anna Morrison's home for the Zoom meeting. And during the greeting, Rebecca's suggestion was maybe Anna could join the operations team because, well, provided that she's approved by the board, because she will be doing, as a friend of Laura, doing setting the Zoom for her, then making sure that Laura knows the agenda and everything, reading for her. So that was the suggestion. And some part of the board well, those who were present at the summit meeting have already heard about the pledge drive not reaching its goal, and the generosity campaign is continuing. And the second budget summit was planned at that time on May 27th. That we had it at 1 p.m. today. So Rebecca said she would talk to the staff regarding cuts for guest music and guest speakers. Also, she mentioned meeting with the endowment team to ask for 6% contribution, but only as a temporary fix because we want to keep the fund growing strong. And she also mentioned that at the request of the board, she's going to present the treasurer's report this time before our actual treasurer will be more ready. So on the building and grounds news, the landscaping company recommended using gravel instead of mulch around plants to control weeds. There are, well, things to be done like fixing irrigation, dry scaping, so-called dry scaping, for more water reservation, and removing the dead plants. All this will require help from volunteers to reduce the costs. Also, she mentioned that there are a couple of holes in the roof that needed to be fixed to prevent little critters from getting inside. Shelley is working on the problem of the entry way lighting while filling for Todd Milne until the replacement is found. And Rebecca mentioned today at 1 o'clock talking about the budget that she can tweak or something after the discussing it, well, of course, after the discussion with Shelley, that since she is combining the two responsibilities as a janitor and as a technician, so maybe the janitarian costs can be reduced, cutting the cost where it is possible, of course. So, while she was talking about the costs, she also brought up the subject of the old RE computer. And thanks to Julianne, there will be a laptop for her to save the money instead of buying a new one. And there will be some other, I don't know what is going to be another computer, but Rebecca mentioned that laptops are much, less expensive than desktops. So this is probably all. Yes, cutting the custodian costs and yeah. Oh, she mentioned going over the duties of a custodian. By the way, she also said that Rochelle uses her own laptop. She doesn't use any computer. She hasn't been using any church computer. That is it. And since I'm supposed, if no questions, I'm supposed to say that, yeah, I forwarded the approved minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting for March, and Rebecca confirmed that she has received it from me. That's it.
And Tom,
Well, I've been getting some questions, maybe the rest of you have too, and I don't know whether there's a clarification yet, either from Todd or from you, Luba. Is Shelley a permanent replacement for Todd, or is she an interim replacement?
No, she is interim until somebody is found, but it makes sense.
Let me correct let me correct
Okay,
you because that's changed now a little bit. So
it is.
Shelley will be doing it
Okay,
permanently. Yes, yes.
okay.
And so what Rebecca was saying was unfortunately that to balance our budget, we need to reduce some of the duties that Shelley's been doing as our custodian in order to cut her pay.
Mm-hmm.
But that being taking on the Sunday services will compensate for that. So
Yeah.
she won't lose any money. Unfortunately, she won't be making any more money. But that's kind of the new situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is she also, does she get compensated? Will she get compensated when she handles a special event? Is that compensated by the people
Yeah.
who,
Yes. Yeah.
be a memorial service or a wedding or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, okay. Well,
So, I believe we need to, as a board, then, confirm the two new members of the committee, Laura Gustorf and Anna Morrison.
Well, just Anna Morrison.
Yeah.
I think you affirmed
Yeah,
Laura
we
last month.
r- right. We
Oh,
confirmed Laura already.
yes, thank you. So just Anna Morrison,
Yes.
um, and by acclamation, yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, very good. The Memorial Garden bylaw. Tom and I met with Linda Green and Jean Larson and went over a couple of options to, to kind of refine the proposal for the bylaw and make it perhaps a little less cumbersome, and came up with a very streamlined version, which everyone could live with, everyone was happy with, I think. Um, Linda took it back to their 10 signers and everyone agreed to it, and she forwarded that to me, and I sent it to you with our notice of the meeting. So that will be appearing at our congregational meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think really the idea behind it is to recognize the importance of the memorial garden and establish it as an important function of the church without getting into the weeds as to how it will be mentioned. Would you agree, Tom?
yeah. And I think just for the purpose of this meeting, we ought to read the very simplified version of it. Well, you can do that, or I can do that. I have it in front of me.
I don't have it at my fingertips. It's a couple screens down.
Okay, it would be placed as an article next to the last. The amendments article is almost always the last article in any bylaws. So this would be Article 16, and then we'd have to change the number of the amendments to Article 17, but it would read Article 16, Memorial Garden, Section 1. UUCS, which is a defined term in our glossary, must establish and maintain in perpetuity a memorial garden to remember persons affiliated with the church. And that's it. And the reason we say section 1 is every one of the other formats in the bylaws has sections, including one that has just one section, so that you'd have if you ever added a second section, then you could just keep going on. So that's the amended form that we came up with. And the other thing that was involved was the other amendment kind of said that the board would be seeing to it that all these things got done, or at least implying it. And that's not what the board does. That's something each team does, and the operations team has some involvement there.
Very good. Um, Nancy, nominating team, what's up?
Well, we had everybody on board and we were good to go. And then Amy Mars, who's a young mother, well, she's a mom and she has some health issues, told Betty Bradabo, who is the head of the nominating team, that she could not take that on at this time. So we are looking for a person, have a call out to a person. And as far as I know, Betty has not heard back from him. So Kathy Heaps and Liz Gilbert have said yes, as has Jim. I want to say it's Morse
Marsh?
Marsh. Let's start with that.
Marsh.
Just,
Marsh.
just
Yeah.
a couple letters, you know. Um, so he has agreed to do the 1 year.
Okay. So Jim is equal one. I'm writing this down for me, is 1 year, and Kathy and Liz are 3 years and 3 year terms. And so at this point, we don't have a nominee.
Well, we have a perspective.
Perspective. Okay. All right.
Should we send a fruit basket?
Yes, and a bottle.
Or,
Money, money, money.
or a bottle of expensive scotch, depending. Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because I've been asked by Gordon Diddins and a couple others to kind of prepare a script. So this helps me, and I'll be needing that so that people know what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it. And that's gotten us through the last two meetings fairly shortly, in less time than we anticipated. So
So
thank you.
no, not if. When I hear Tom, I will let you know.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, we had our budget summit number 2 today, I think. We were all there? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's probably not much to review within this meeting. Um, we do have a proposed balanced budget.
Yep.
Dick, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, well, Rebecca and did all the work with you. Is that right, Cindy? And who else was on there? Did she
Not
consult?
really with me, no.
Because she said she talked to you guys to come up with, but she did really all of it herself, you think?
I think it was probably more with staff and operations.
Oh, okay. That wasn't entirely clear. Anyway, uh, they came up with, well, she decided $23,000 shortfall and needed pledge income, which meant, in effect, $23,000 in reduction in the budget. That was the whole focus. And when I asked about the lack of pledge income, she emphasized that we're having a good, substantial numbers of new members, but they're of course younger and uh, don't have the financial resources of many of the older members, and that some of them had either passed away or entered nursing homes and couldn't continue pledging, and and that would only take, you know, maybe 4 or 5 of those people to come up with your shortfall right there. Uh, so that seems to be a sign of the times. I know for the younger people, inflation has been going up, and there's some areas of the economy there's more uncertainty, and that makes people uh, probably hold on to their money a little tighter and being a little less generous when there's a higher risk or their living expenses are going up, you see. So I think that's a factor, the national and global factor. So I think everyone agreed with this. At this point, that's something we just have to live with. And so Rebecca did her best to go through and find those $23,000 in cuts, and and she sent out. Well, she didn't send out the proposal until today, so I don't have it well studied. But she went through all the cuts and some of the projections of income, which could have made it worse because the projections of income included more from the endowment. I think instead of 4% of the endowment, up to 6%, uh, which is, I guess, sort of an informal ceiling to take from the endowment.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not actually it's 6% on the growth,
Yeah, and the growth, yeah.
the interest on the growth. Yeah,
It doesn't touch the principal, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not 6% of the endowment, or we'd be
yeah, so
that'd be
that
great.
helped quite a bit. And there's also pretty good, fairly ambitious fundraising goals. And there's the hope that will be met, but there's no guarantees there. Uh, so the funding part was mostly some because of the pledge shortfall can only be partly made up. Since some of that, see, the biggest chunk of meeting up the budget shortfall was from the endowment and keeping quite ambitious fundraising goals, but they didn't. She and others didn't find any better way. That's why there's $23,000 in cuts, and this came throughout the whole budget. She went through everything. Um, Before there'd been talk about COLAs, cost of living increases. Of course, they were the first thing to go, and she said the staff understood the situation. So, um, it sounds like it's something everyone has learned to live with, and they were she went through every single item to find out, well, could we get by, less on this one? And there were a number of items where you could get by less with because we just upgraded something or something it looked like was we hadn't needed we hadn't been doing as much as in expenditures as we had anticipated. And there were a few other things that she tried to look at in terms of staffing, the music program, childcare, and finding a few modest savings there. Um, I haven't had a chance to compile the rest of them yet, uh, but it seemed like it was picking up a little bit here, a little bit there, mattered up to 23,000. So the result is something we can live with, even though there may be a few things here and there that you might suddenly need something during the middle of the year that you didn't have in your budget, but uh, that's probably in the normal range right there. Can you remember some of the other things, Todd, or
well,
Cindy?
I think that was probably a good summary of it. One of the things the board needs to do now is of course accept that this is the budget you're going to present to the congregation, and then you really have a couple of weeks. You'll want to have a table out probably starting this Sunday and the following Sunday uh, to talk about the budget. Have it displayed on the table so you can show it to people, that sort of thing. Just so people will know in advance what they're are going to be voting on.
And I know when Rebecca sent out the numbers, she color coded the changes in income, both income and expenses, and
Yeah, and
I guess there's somehow
that's not going to be. I mean, you could, but that's not going to be necessary. The only thing because what the board has to do at this point, according to our bylaws, is present a balanced budget to the congregation. But you also have to make it available
right.
uh, to the congregation in advance. So at this point, the bigger worry than going over it all again, because most of us were there, is to decide, are you going to, I mean, you could just have the budget, say this is the budget, and we don't have to go through all the processes of budget number one and budget number two.
Yeah,
That's done. Now you
but
just need
you
to
probably want
present
a
the
one-page
budget that
summary,
you're going to adopt,
right?
and then have some folks that would staff a table to, and I can point it out during the services, but if folks want to look at it and talk about it, you can.
So I'm thinking maybe I could put together a one-page summary. This has with the overall income and expense numbers, and some things can be broken down by broad categories, but not too much. And then maybe some notes or footnotes about some of the individual items of interest.
I,
Yeah,
I think she's done that in the past, had a summary, a brief summary. So she may already kind of have that, or she could pull it out.
I could ask her if what she could put together. Yeah, because she could put together a one-page summary. That not not a fine print one-page summary, a normal print or large print even
Right.
one-page
I
summary.
mean, generally you would have though the whole budget there, and
Yeah,
and you have enough to give away if people want a copy of
yeah.
it.
You have some copies of the whole budget, but
Yeah.
then
But yeah,
everyone would
the
get the
summary's
one-page
fine.
summary. Right.
You're
Yeah.
not going to get, honestly, you won't get a lot of people that you're not, the table's not going to be stormed.
Right.
Well,
Right.
But you need to, that's your due diligence is to say we were there for folks who
Right.
wanted to know in advance.
Well, maybe I'll ask Rebecca because she may have a prototype for that already. That would save me a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sue, I
I have-
saw your hand
yeah.
up. Go ahead, Sue.
I would like to know if it was explained at this budget summit, just what the difference was in the way of the endowment giving and the
Yes.
changes that that will make.
yeah,
That we gave
Yeah.
14,000 more. So that was explained.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and that will be one of these footnote things.
It's
Oh.
just between Tom's proposal and our shortfall, it's been a lot of work for the endowment team. So I just wanted to make sure that that was explained and that everybody has a good understanding. Thank you.
Mhm.
The, the other kind of ominous part about it that we're going to really have to deal with, balancing of the budget, involved raising our anticipated fundraising revenue from 35,000 last year to $36,080 this year. And we're probably not going to reach the 35,000 even with all the extended efforts. We don't have the results of the final two items in the art auction, which is a great unknown. But I mean, this budget is balanced on a wish and a prayer of fundraising, and that's going to really be crucial for us.
Mhm. That's
They,
true.
they always are.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. There's
They
always something
always
there.
are.
Yeah.
And next year we got to suffer through whatever the difference is.
Yeah, the fundraising goals, that was one of the points I was going to make. The pledge shortfall, the increase in endowment to 6%, and then the fundraising goal, ambitious fundraising goal. Those were three income points that'll be in the footnotes.
I think Liz has had her
Mhm.
hand up for a while.
Mhm.
But you're muted. You're
Oh,
muted, though,
muted.
Liz.
Liz,
There. Now, I was wondering if there's any particular solicitation of people who attend church online.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
posting, you mean?
Those folks give, I mean, we wouldn't have nearly what we have right now if it weren't for our folks who attend online.
Okay, I just wasn't aware of any particular solicitation.
Yeah.
And is there a
Do they
breakdown
Well,
get?
for,
it's the same as everybody else. I mean, we solicit in the same way. So
Oh, okay.
if they're
All
if
right.
they're members, they understand that we expect them to give. If they're friends, we ask them to consider contributing. So yeah,
and is there a breakdown between sort of local people who give online versus people from long
no,
ways away?
no,
Okay.
we now you got to remember that that's very unclear, right? Most
Right.
people give online, even if they
Right.
attend in person.
Right. Right.
We know roughly the percentages of people who are local. About 80% of our streamers are local. 20% are elsewhere, and all of those folks contribute, and so they can go online and contribute, or they can send a check, whatever, just like anybody else.
Okay.
I just wonder, I was curious, is a sort of a presumption that those
There is a
80%
presumption that there's often a presumption that people who watch online don't give, and
they
and
do.
just remember that it's not a clear-cut behavior,
Right.
right? We don't have people that come and people that watch online. We have people that come in person and watch online
Right.
at different times in their lives. So
Right.
sometimes people say, I was going to come, but I didn't feel like it, so I just watched online or
Yeah, I know their church I'm involved in, we have people who were very active in the church locally, and then they moved to Costa Rica or Arizona or something, and continue
Yeah.
active online. And many of those continue active supporters. Yeah,
I met this morning with Stephen Palmer, who's
right, right,
a member who's is in Italy right now. He lives in
right,
Italy 6 months a
right.
year, and he contributes and watches all the services, and
Well,
so very very active.
yeah, that's good to build that national and global following because that's going to become more and more common, I think. Yeah.
I know a secret about Doug Deaton. He manages to watch something online and come in person on the same day.
Yeah, yeah. He watches the first service and then comes in person. And in his travels,
Right.
Doug is the first person to text me after a service. And
Uh,
he's all over the world, and he texts
yes.
me every Sunday. Loved your sermon. So,
Right, right.
Well, speaking about the budget and having a table there after the service, I'm available to do second service this coming Sunday. Would anyone be available first service? Well, I guess I could do between and after, so I can do that. Feel free to join me if you wish. And we'll look for somebody to volunteer for the next week.
So what periods of time, like I'm always there between services. I usually arrive at 10:30, but you would want somebody there before that?
Well, but you'll be doing usher stuff.
No,
Yeah,
well, hopefully
I
that.
will come for the first service.
Okay.
Okay, so would you be there after the first service, Luba?
Yes.
Okay. I'm there if the ushers need me, but hopefully I'm not, unless they're really inexperienced, I'm not too involved. But they don't usually show up till 10:30, and I try to be until a little till 40 of the hour, so I try to fill in until they're there, but I'll fill in where I can.
And Luba, I'll get a hold of Rebecca and ask her to have our materials and a card table for us at the back. So,
Okay. Okay.
You
Thank you.
know,
I, I
uh,
see Dan Egret there has his hand up too.
yeah,
I volunteered, I think, at a region meeting to volunteer one of those times. It's coming Sunday, so I'm available if you want me for that.
Dan, I think you
The
volunteered to do
table,
it for the endowment,
yeah,
but
for the table.
I'm wondering now, do we need an endowment table if all of
Well,
this
maybe
is
we don't. Maybe
mute?
we don't.
Yeah.
So
I think
whatever you
I think
need, I could be somebody that's volunteering there, whatever. So keep in mind. Well, let me know though.
okay. And then our annual meeting, we're going to add Todd's video. That's going to be a piece of it. I'm going to meet with Rebecca this week and firm up the agenda. Um, the question I have for you board members, in putting together my report, I'd really welcome any thoughts from you to include in that, our annual report. If you could just shoot me a quick email with your thoughts, anything that would be valuable to include, I'd be grateful.
Yeah, so this is supposed to be the board's report, but we're not going to have a report for the board to review. It's going to be the president's report is what it amounts to.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
maybe the agenda item should reflect that.
Okay.
And then also because last year we had a problem with the board's report, which was adopted by the board being reduced in size. I think you and Rebecca need to decide on how many words go on how many pages, so you
Yeah.
have some guidance.
Yeah. Okay.
Cindy, I just want to clarify that you have vote counters ready, people signing people in to vote. All of those jobs are covered for that Sunday.
So I have let's see. I have not the Gammons. I have not heard back from them. I reached out to them, but I haven't heard back. I have who's the other couple?
The Bradabos and Gabbins have
Yes.
usually been our BoT.
Yes. Betty told me that they would be available as vote counters. I have Richard Steele to monitor the Zoom, and he's going to meet with Rebecca and or Michelle to set that up. And Robert Janishian as timekeeper. I didn't attempt to get check-in people.
I could help with, I could be one.
That would be great.
We'll also probably need to start letting folks know that they can attend on Zoom. Is that
Uh-huh.
what we're saying? And so we'll have to make that process pretty clear as to how they will do that.
Yeah.
Because if they're part of the quorum and they'd have to be part of any voting, majority or whatever. Well, it's a 2/3 majority, as a matter of fact, for a bylaw. So we really need to have that.
Yeah.
There should be a Zoom person who's responsible for
Well, it
doing
sounds
the
like
vote.
Dick is willing to do that. We would just
Yeah.
need to have, I mean, maybe let them know that the church will send out a Zoom link in our list of meetings or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there has to be someone who's the official counter of Zoom votes, that's all.
Yeah, that would be Dick from what Cindy has
Yeah.
talked about.
And so
Not
we,
you, Dick. Dick
Yeah, the other
Stevens.
Dick.
Yeah.
yeah. So
But you'll
we,
probably attend on that meeting yourself. So
Right, yeah.
this starts at 12:30
Yes.
and there's a lunch served.
Yes.
Okay.
So the lunch is going to be a fundraiser for the One Parish, One Prisoner group, a fundraiser by donation for that project.
Who's serving that team?
Yeah.
Okay.
How are we doing for time on that? Are you doing the sermon on that day, Todd, or is that a guest?
no, it'll be me. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have a clear half an hour, or is that even a half an hour going to do it for people to work through getting lunch
Yeah,
and
they can get their lunch and come and sit down in the sanctuary. Yeah.
okay.
Is it sandwiches or something like that? That'll be easy.
We're
I'm not
we're
sure, is it?
meeting this Sunday to finalize the menu, but I'm advocating for something quick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brown bag.
Yeah. That would be the best.
So Cindy, can board members check people in?
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, so then you don't need me. Okay.
Oh, no, I wasn't saying that, Sue. You're always needed. If board members can do it, I would volunteer.
Okay. Nancy and Sue, checker-inners.
And they're usually over by that brown wall, but if you're going to have food set up there, they might have to be another spot. So we can
Yeah.
put that together.
Well, I think they've been at the glass windows in the back is where I remember them being, the table set up there where the children's table is.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Okay. Any final annual meeting thoughts?
Just as soon as you get that agenda, I've got the draft from last year that I would be using as a model, but of course I need to fill in the details and share it with the people that have got speaking parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, folks. I believe we are adjourned at 5:21. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good job, Cindy.
Cindy, do you want me to come to church with you? Whoops, I'll have to call her. there she is. Cindy, did you want me to come with you to meet with Rebecca, or you got that covered? Oh, you're
Oh,
muted.
muted. Muted, Cindy, muted.
That would be great. Let me confirm the time with you when I hear back from Rebecca.
Okay. And if I'm available, I'll come.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.